Hola, ¿qué pasó, señorito?
¿Cómo estás?
Bienvenido.
Good day to you too.
I was going to keep going, but I don't know how to say, what is it? Welcome to Snail. Bienvenido a la Mail de Snail.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Welcome to SnailMail, everybody. Happy Friday. Hopefully you guys are excited for the weekend coming up. That's tomorrow.
I'm excited.
You are?
I'm leaving today
What?
on the Virgin Voyage of the Teardrop trailer.
Whoa. Is that the name of this episode on the other podcast then?
Maybe.
Or when we go over it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
We'll have somebody start Googling Virgin. What'd you say? For the Virgin Voyage? That's what it was. Should be the name of your teardrop.
That's
Put that on the side of the teardrop.
Well, it's not going to be a virgin after that.
Oh, man. Anyways, this is Friday where we go through voicemails from you guys. If you have any feedback for the show from a Monday episode, from a Thursday episode, from Friday snail mails, if you want to just reach out and say, hey, what's up? If you want to end up with a new nickname, because Jimmy and I love to give people ridiculous names.
Absolutely.
Call in. The phone number here is 916-345-4744. If you're outside of the United States, you add a 01 to the beginning of that. Because obviously United States is number one. That's just saying that.
It's true.
And pretty soon Canada will be number one too. So
yep. And Mexico.
I still can't believe
Let's
all
just take
that.
them all.
Anyways, we are here to talk to you guys today and talk about you guys where you can't respond right away. That's really the fun part that we have about Snail Mail is that we get to make fun of you guys and you can't reply for like another month because that's how long it takes us to get back to your voicemail.
Well, that might not be true anymore because we're up to like 11.
Sure.
That's what we left off at.
Uh-huh.
Did people come back in force?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. You guys.
32.
What?
I'm just kidding. 21.
Oh.
It gave Jimmy a heart attack just now.
I was like, we never had that many. Even after being gone for like 2 weeks.
I know, right? No, we're back up to 21.
21.
I think we did kind of like go through a lot last week and got down to 11 and we're back up. So, hey, we have a text message here.
Oh.
Wait a minute. What's on this? Zach from Oklahoma sent us a bunch of pictures.
Nice.
Oh.
Are we going to get to that today? Or are you just...
Maybe.
All right. Well, not fair. You checking it out, not sharing with everybody else. So let's get started with the voicemails. And we'll check out what Zach from OKC is doing here.
He's got a wet noodle tie rod, apparently.
Oh.
Let's see. Did he call in recently?
I got photos about that as well.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's get into the first caller here. Let's see. We did that one. So I believe we're on this one here, which would be our Gladiator on 29s.
Ooh, I thought he degraded himself and he's on 28s now.
He doesn't say here.
All right.
Let's see what we got from Mr. DeLuca.
Hey, Jimmy and Tyler, it's Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Calling you guys because I just listened to the California Laws podcast you guys did, and you guys talked a lot about California roads and gas tax, and how it's not fair that the EV cars aren't paying the gas tax. And as I sit in traffic, I'm looking at literally giant 6-inch potholes, 6-inch deep potholes and 4-inch deep potholes like every 15, 20 feet. And it's just sad that how much we pay in tax and our roads look terrible, like the worst in the country probably. And what you guys didn't mention the whole time, and I kept expecting to come up, was vehicle registration costs. It's like our vehicle registration is supposed to pay for these roads. And for some reason, it just doesn't. And the new cars have giant registration costs. The old cars still have large registration costs. And I think that what we really need is just to take the total dollars it would cost to actually fix all of these roads and then divide it evenly by the number of vehicles on the road. And so it's not so much a usage tax, it's more of a fair sharing of the cost, because every vehicle, whether it's a new vehicle or an old vehicle, is driving on the road and wearing the road, right? And so the older vehicles, like it doesn't make sense that my Land Cruiser is $200 a year, but my Gladiator is $800 a year. and they both drive on the road, but one is less than the other. Doesn't make a lot of sense. And then why am I paying all this money if they can't even fix the roads? And I think that's really where I have the issue, is that they're taking a lot of money but not fixing the roads. So I'm sure there's a great solution out there that somebody knows, but probably nothing will ever happen because it's California and our tax money just disappears into a giant abyss. But that's the libertarian in me coming out. Enjoy the podcast as always. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks for calling in, bud. I disagree.
Slightly. I agree with some parts and disagree with a lot of other parts, though.
Sure.
I would disagree that older vehicles are on the road the same amount of usage as newer vehicles.
Right. You disagree with that.
I disagree with that. I think it's much less likely that you're going to see older vehicles being used out on roads than newer vehicles.
Sure.
So there's that. The second thing is, I think, in my opinion, I think that a lot of, and this is without looking into doing research on how much money is actually in the Caltrans budgets, how much is in the state budget for dealing with roads. Because if you, and then you also have the problem of roads are under a different entity's accountability every time. It's not just the states.
Right.
It could be county, it could be city, it could be highways, which is Caltrans, right? There's a lot of different entities involved with keeping up their road infrastructure.
Sure. What's the Rubicon RS24?
Or an RS2477, a non-maintained county road, right?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think the biggest issue with roads is really highways. Because if you're driving down a highway and hit a 4 to 6 inch deep pothole at 70 miles an hour, that sucks. Yeah. And that can do some real damage and cause accidents very quickly, right? If you're doing...
And shouldn't Caltrans pay for that?
Caltrans should be.
They should, like, if there's an issue with the road and it breaks your vehicle, you have all the right to file a complaint or a grievance against Caltrans, and they are responsible for paying that.
They have a budget literally set aside specifically for that reason. Mm-hmm. I do know that. I don't know how much the budget is, numbers, etc.
Technically, and I've never heard of anybody winning this. Technically, if a rock gets thrown up from the road and hits your window and cracks your road, Caltrans should pay for your window repair.
Correct. They literally have a budget for that as well. Mm-hmm. I think that just insurance does such a good job at making it cheap and affordable to replace your windshields nowadays that people don't go through the trouble of dealing with Caltrans. That'd be my guess.
I've got 2 windows I need to replace.
I know, right?
And they're not cheap.
No, they're not. So anyways, what I think is really the biggest issue is our highways are so used in California. Mm-hmm. There is never a good time to do road work on a highway.
Yes, I agree with that. Did you see the announcement about the Highway 50 section that it's going to be still under construction for another year?
I believe it.
Because it was supposed to be done this month. And they're like, it's not going to be done until next July.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's the biggest issue, right? In order to fix and maintain our highways, because that seems to be where I hear a lot of the issues the highways in California are in terrible condition, and a lot of them are. Mm-hmm. I think they've
got to close the road.
They have to close the highway, and I don't think the public is willing to let highways close.
Nope.
In order to do the repairs.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't want to say it goes both ways, but how do you fix a highway without closing it? Mm-hmm. Right.
You do the work from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. So you got 3 hours
every night and then repairs take 5 years. So now you've got construction and lane splits and K-rails up and detours and signs and exits closed for 5 years before it gets back open. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that is more of the main issue that we struggle with in California, is that we just have so many fucking cars in this state that it's almost impossible to do highway maintenance, repair. I don't know what the solution is, right?
No,
I think really the only thing that we can do is that we just need to buckle up, Buttercup, shut down a highway for a year and then completely redo that highway for the year, it's going to suck. People are going to have detours through their neighborhoods.
Yep.
But if you want to see your money that you're spending on registration and money spending on the gas tax and everything go to use, I think that's what really needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, they did do, they were raising all the bridges on Highway 80 to meet or exceed whatever the 14-foot level
Clearance for overpasses
requirement is. And so there was periods of time out where I'm at that your overpass was closed.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you couldn't. You getting a phone call?
I am getting a phone call. It wasn't a snail mail phone call, though. It was just a 1-800 number.
Funny. So I was like, that's good music. Is that your ringtone? It's kind of
Yeah.
nice, soothing. We need that nowadays. Yeah. Anyway, so I think if you want the road fixed, you got to sacrifice going on the road so that to allow them to get fixed. But regardless, your question wasn't necessarily about how to fix the road. It was more about registration. I do think that registration is a good place to implement the electrical fine or usage scenario for those people. If they're going to be driving on the road so much, they need to be paying a bigger registration because they don't have it built into the gas.
Yeah.
But I do think, and so my argument though about evenly split is, why should Bobcat pay the same amount of money that a brand new Lexus is paying when Bobcat sees the road, 1% of the time that a brand new vehicle would be seeing the road to some extent. I mean, I easily drive 10,000 miles a year. That's low. 30,000, I think it is, whatever it is. I easily drive like 30. I don't know. I drive a lot. And my Tacoma, I'm probably 80% of the time on the road with the Tacoma, and Bobcat is probably like 3% of my driving. So it doesn't really make sense that I would have to pay the same amount of money for a vehicle that's not used on the road as much.
Yeah.
But I'm also not opposed to paying more to get shit fixed. So I do agree that it needs to, something needs to get done.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more under the ambition of, instead of looking at how many cars are on the road, you need to look at how many people are on the road, in my opinion. Because you got people with multiple cars, right?
Sure.
Almost every family has more than one car. Even a lot of families have more than cars than they do people in the family, right? Yeah. Raise your hand if you're one of those.
Yeah. Nick, you're raising your hand too.
Yep, he is. So it's like, let's take Nick, for example. He's got the Land Cruiser, the Gladiator, the Tacoma, and another one, right?
A daily driver. Maybe they're down to 3, but they have 3 or 4.
So they've got 2 adults and 3 or 4 cars. So let's take John and Renee from the Mad Hatters.
Okay.
They have 2 adults in their household.
And 4 cars.
And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6 cars. I think something like that.
I think my family has 6 cars.
Yeah. And you have 2 adults in your household. So it's kind of like, are we now going to penalize people for having more cars, even if they're not necessarily using all those cars the same amount, right? It's kind of what you were saying. Bobcat doesn't get the same usage that Tacoma gets.
Right.
But you're going to end up paying a lot more than a 2 adult 2 car household, right?
Yeah. So there's a bill or a fine or a requirement to, if you have a driver's license, you're getting hit with this much money.
Yeah. And so under the idea or theory that you're going to be charging however many cars the population has, that's how you split up the bill. I would argue you can't, Jimmy, cannot drive the Tacoma and Bobcat at the same time, right?
True.
So you're always going to be driving one or the other.
I could try though.
You could try. That'd be fun. It'd be a fun challenge. I think it's more dependent on each person on the road. So it could be tacked into like a driver's license
maybe
fee. Because you're not going to be able to drive 2 vehicles at once, right? So I think if you're a licensed to drive individual, then you should be helping out equally as anybody else, as any other licensed individual towards our road infrastructure because in my opinion, we as a society need roads for our society to work.
Yes. Especially here in California.
So, that's what I like the idea of everybody needs to pay their fair share. I don't think charging per vehicle is the right way to do it though.
Just by driver.
I think by driver.
Okay.
Licensed driver. If you are licensed to drive a vehicle, then you should help take care of our roads.
So what if you don't have a vehicle, but you're licensed?
Then you shouldn't have a driver's license, in my opinion. There's no point in having a driver's license then.
Yeah, except for ID.
You can have an identification, a state identification or federal identification, but you don't need a driver's license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I mean, I agree. Yeah. I agree with you. There's just advantages to having it because, I mean, I would say like in case of an emergency, you can drive somebody's car, but then you're driving the vehicle and you should be paying that fee.
Yep.
So anyways, all right. Well, there's half of our time. So
we're
thanks.
solving all the problems. Here we
thanks,
go.
Nick, for calling in. Good to hear your voice. Good to see you the other day.
Yep. All right. Next up, my phone locked because we took too much time. 602 area code.
I don't know where that is.
Oh, he called back again. It looks like it's Ryan Marley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see what he's got up to today.
Boise. But dial Ryan.
But dial Marley. There we go.
But dial Marley. Oh, was he going to say something or did he hang up?
I hung up. He called back 2 minutes later though, and left an actual voicemail. So, did I talk about the long cruiser from Moab?
I don't think so.
Do you remember the re-rim limo? The re-rim limo?
Limo.
It's an FJ80 stretch limo.
Yes.
It was out at Moab.
Okay.
And so I went to find Lee for dinner one night because everybody in my house went to bed early, and I was like, I'm not tired yet.
Sure.
And Lee was out having dinner with Dave and Morgan, the Delta group, and a bunch of other people. And so I get up there, and they're talking about the long cruiser, and I'm like, I just thought he said something else, so I didn't think too much of it. And they're like, have you seen the long cruiser? I thought he said the lawn cruiser.
Okay.
And I'm thinking in my head, it's I'm picturing the shaggy carpet truck from Dumb and Dumber, but with AstroTurf instead of a dog.
Yeah.
And then they walk over, like, there's the long cruiser. And I'm like, holy shit, that's a stretch Land Cruiser limo.
Yeah.
So
FJ80, a stretched FJ80 into a limo size.
Yeah. Apparently they put, it was like 5 or 6 FJ80s together to make that.
Dang.
Something like that. It's long. But we got to go cruise around up and down Main Street in Moab.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
They took you for a ride?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It was fun. But Ryan Marley was in there with us. That's why the story came back to my head.
Got it.
Anyways, Marley called, left us a voicemail.
But dial Marley.
But dial Marley. Here we go.
What's up, guys? Ryan Marley here from Idaho. Hey, Jimmy, missed you at Moab this year. We had a great time. But on the other end of it, I don't think we had any rollovers in our group this year, and you weren't there, so maybe you are cursed. I'm not too sure. Tyler, great to meet you. Do you have a problem with what you said on one of the previous podcasts when you said that a bunch of Land Cruiser guys were Googling over your 4Runner? Yeah, settle down, peasant. I don't think so. We might have been giggling at it. I don't know about Googling. But no, just kidding, man. That thing is pretty badass. And it is loud. That rap is pretty cool. It grabs your attention. But it was great to finally meet you guys. And also, when you were just talking about, I think today's episode, 603 or something, you're talking about tire pressure at Moab. I'm also running Yokohama G003s. Love them. But on Slick Rock, aka not Slick Rock,
Sticky Rock,
you cannot run low pressure. I run like 15 PSI. I do not have lockers on mine. And I can climb just about everything in Moab at like 15 PSI. If I get below 15, it will hop. And with the big V8 I have in mine, I will break shit. So, you got to have a little bit of wheel spin, let the tires warm up, and then they'll grip right. But yeah, you get the pressure too low in Moab and it will start to bounce. And, that's when bad shit happens. So, it took me a little bit to get my rig dialed in for that between suspension and tires, but I got it pretty dialed in, pretty good now. But hey, it was great to see you. Jimmy, miss you. Next year, hopefully we got Samantha next year. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
That's right. I forgot to bring that up too in the Moab episode.
What?
That nobody rolled over because Jimmy wasn't there.
There's been years that I've been there that nobody else rolled over also.
I disagree. I think that every year I've been there with you, somebody's rolled over.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Not somebody with me.
Semantics.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then that's probably true. There's probably somebody that flops every time I'm out on the Rubicon.
I disagree on that.
Oh, okay.
Nobody flops on the Rubicon. Don't look over Glenn's message, the post from the weekend.
Yep.
So, yeah, Marley, it was fun to see you out there, buddy. And listen to his rig. It sounds so good.
It's awesome.
It was funny. He was in front of me as we were heading up to Top of the World from the staging area, right?
Okay.
And then he very quickly, he was not in front of me. I mean, he was in front of me, but I had no eyes on him at all anymore.
He got louder for a little bit.
Yes.
He's gone.
He's gone. I was like, wow. But yeah, I'm glad that somebody called in to comment on the tire pressure thing.
Yeah.
Cause even still, like it was a couple days ago, I think I was in the shower or something, and I was just thinking about Moab, and I'm like, how do I fix the hopping in Moab? Because you have to let off the gas when you start hopping, but at the same time, you need to be able to have your tires spin to warm up the tires so that they're a little stickier and start grabbing so you can climb stuff.
Sure.
As I think just adding more pressure into the tires is how you could do that. But nobody's confirmed it for me yet. So
now we have a witness.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, Mr. Marley. Sorry, I missed you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Gnarly Marley.
Guess who called in 40 minutes or 30 minutes after Ryan did?
Lee Lim.
Yep. Good job. So here we go. Lee Lim from Solve Function, cruising to camp. Here we are.
What's up, Jimmy and Tyler? Tyler and Jimmy. This is Lee. Solve Function, cruising to camp. Just a little correction update on SB712, aka the Lenos Law. You no longer need the classic car insurance that was removed on 3/28. So yeah, don't have to be insured that way anymore to qualify. And yeah, it's slowly moving through the process. Right now it's being looked at to see the financial impact. So have a great day. Hope to see you guys soon. Let's go camping. Later.
Let's go.
I need a drink from the Burfield, FYI.
Yes.
I haven't had one in a while. Yeah, update. I guess we didn't get into that on Thursday.
No,
I wanted to touch on it. The Lenos Law, SB712.
Yes.
Just made it out of the Senate Appropriations Committee.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what it was called. Don't quote me on that. It just made it out of some committee. And they changed it a lot.
They changed a lot of it.
They didn't. I mean, they didn't change a lot of it, but the little bit they changed completely just like annihilated the bill, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah.
So there was 3 things they changed. 2 of them have major impacts to the bill. The first thing is that moving forward, you have to have classic car insurance. So your car needs to be insured as a classic vehicle in order to fall under Lenos Law. So they brought that back into the bill.
Right.
It did get removed at one point, and it's back in as of this point in time. So we're recording on Tuesday, June 2nd, 3rd. So as of Tuesday, June 3rd, that part is back in the bill. The other part that they added to the bill, which I think is the big damning part, is that you have to have and maintain the factory smog equipment on the vehicle. Okay. Which is kind of like the whole point of the bill, and the argument behind the bill is that you can't get a hold of parts anymore for these vehicles. once they become so old, manufacturers aren't making parts anymore.
Sure.
And California does not like the aftermarket market building parts for emissions parts for vehicles, right? They make it extremely prohibitive for aftermarket companies to build parts for emissions systems. So the whole point of the bill is that we can't get those parts anymore. How do we maintain the emission systems on these vehicles if we can't get the parts from anymore?
Yeah, I mean, there's no answer for it. It's just the car goes to rot.
Yeah,
if you can't get the parts to legally have the vehicle to insure it under classic car insurance, then there's no point. Then you're never going to be able to register that vehicle and get it on the road.
Yeah, yeah. So that's currently where the bill's at.
Which also goes funny because it's all about the smog law, right?
For the most part.
The whole thing. I mean, the whole gist of the Lenos Law is let's keep bumping up the years because it's harder to get parts for these old vehicles to keep them compliant with the rules and regulations that are in place.
Yep.
And so, but now it sounds like, okay, we're going to move up this rule, but everything still has to stay the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's stupid.
They completely deleted the bill pretty much. Because it's, the whole argument is that we can't find parts anymore for vehicles typically around 35 years or older. That's the whole point of the 35-year part of the bill.
Right.
That it's getting hard to find parts for those. And so the vehicles that are 35 years and older that are these kind of classic vehicles that are part of American automotive history kind of thing, and quote unquote collectible cars that people will rebuild and refurbish and put back together and restore. There's such a small percentage of vehicles on the roadway that any emissions that they are putting out are not really having an impact on the overall amount of emissions in the airways, right?
No, none.
So and part of the rule about classic car insurance is that you're not allowed to drive the vehicle more than X amount of miles per year. It's like 1,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have a vehicle that has the emissions equipment not on the vehicle anymore because you can't find emissions equipment for that vehicle anymore, driving less than 1,000 miles in a year is not, with how many are out there, extremely small percentage of the total vehicle population. The argument is that it's not going to have an impact on our air quality.
Correct. Yeah.
But apparently the legislation thinks differently.
Apparently so. And how much do you have to pay for registration for that classic car?
Yeah. A bit more, right?
No.
Oh,
but Nick would like it to be more.
Oh, true. Yeah. Yeah. If you're driving less than 1,000 miles per year, it gets the same registration as your daily driver. So,
yep.
No, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from here because that was the whole point of the bill.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious with somebody that has the financial backing like Jay Leno to
fight it,
to either fight it or help educate the people who just made this decision out of the committee. That's, I think, where he's going to come into a full impact if this moves forward the way it was intended.
I think we need Jay Leno on to fully talk about this, to clear the air.
Jay, we know you're listening.
Yeah.
We know you're watching right now. Give us a call. We'd love to have you on and talk about this.
Yeah. And if you guys want to have Jay Leno on,
Start tagging
him on all the social media stuff that goes on and tell him he needs to join the SnailTrail4x4 podcast to clear the air.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Right. All right. So that's the update on Lenos Law. Thank you, Lee, for calling in, helping remind us and correct us on that part from our original recording. Next up, should we do one more?
Yeah. Well, last one here.
All right. Last one. It's a relatively short one. It looks like. So, Kevin from Texas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Here we go.
Hey guys, Kevin from Texas. I was calling about the EV road usage tax. Here in Texas, when you go to renew your registration every year, there is I want to say it was either $260 or $280 upcharge for EVs. And from what I understand, they're just playing on the laws of averages and driving, trying to do the best they can with it that way. But just thought I'd let y'all know on that one how another state is currently handling it.
Yeah, and that's cool. And I honestly think doing it as a registration is a good starting point.
Yeah.
I think it can be done better though. We don't, obviously you and I don't have all the data to figure it out and solve the problem. But yeah, I would like to see something. I think I want to say after that episode, was it Rodney messaged us and said $150 of his registration was EV oriented.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good start, but I don't think that's equal to the amount of gas tax that people with gas vehicles are paying each year annually.
Absolutely. I think I tried to do the math, and I think it was like 5 fill-ups paid for his EV tax.
Yeah, right. So I'm kind of curious. It sounds like Texas is doing registration, but it's almost double what California is putting on the EV registration. So again, I think registration is a great starting point. But then it goes down to, how many cars do you have, and are you being penalized for having a vehicle? And I guess if you have an EV car, an electric vehicle car, that you're probably not driving it very much. Like,
yeah,
right. Cause newer vehicle, it just come to the older gas vehicles.
Yeah. And we're talking about this, and like, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a prude, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Too late.
You
prude.
But, if you could have the right to be able to afford more vehicles, then maybe you should have to pay for the more vehicles that you can afford.
Yeah.
Like look at property tax here in California.
Okay.
If you can own multiple houses, then you're paying multiple property taxes. It's not one person that has to, if you just pay per person. If you're 18 and older and could own a house, then, you're not paying an amount. It's if you own the house or you're buying the house or if you own multiple houses, you're paying on all the houses. So I don't know. I don't have the right answer.
Yeah.
I think there could be a combo of both. Maybe it comes down to registration, or, maybe they see how many cars you own, and they, you pay less and less per car, but your first car, you pay a good amount of money. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. That would be an interesting way to put it, is your first vehicle on your registration is more expensive than each successive vehicle after that. It gets less and less.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting way to do it too.
What about people that own like fleets?
Fleet vehicles? Yeah.
I mean, they're having to pay registration on all of them right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know
per person. I guess it would be under how many employees you have certified to drive those fleet vehicles under my way. I guess that's how you would do it. So I don't know. Interesting problem that we're having with new world problems with electric vehicles becoming such a staple. So
if the government wants help, they can always call us.
Right.
There you go.
We're here for consulting.
Yep. 916-345-4744. Tell us the problem that you're having, and we will come up with the solution for you.
If you got a problem, I'll solve it.
I don't remember.
Check out my hook when my DJ revolves it. Anyways, everybody call in. We love hearing your feedback. We love chatting with you.
Absolutely.
These are great conversations to have. I think that we're in an interesting time period where, for the automotive industry in particular, so being able to have conversations like this is, I think, valuable. So I always love hearing other people's opinions and feedback. So
let's just ask ChatGPT.
Ooh, ChatGPT has the answers for everything.
Yeah, it totally does.
All right. That does it for today. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday.
Bye-bye.
The number you have called has been disconnected.